Hello students, today we will study lesson 11 of history part 2. And in today's video we will study about the partition of Bengal, Swadeshi movement, the formation of the Muslim League, the impact of the First World War, the advent of Mahatma Gandhi, the Rowlatt Act, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, the Khilafat movement and the non-cooperation movement. In 1905, Lord Curzon announced the partition of Bengal. At that time, Bengal was the biggest province of India. It included Bengal, Bihar and parts of Orissa. By October 1905, the partition of Bengal became final. Bengal was to be divided into two provinces of Bengal proper and Eastern Bengal and Assam. Bengal proper was to include West Bengal, Bihar and Orissa, while the new province of Eastern Bengal and Assam was to include Assam and the divisions of Dhaka, Rajshahi and Chittagong. The new province had Dhaka as its headquarters. Lord Curzon described the partition as a readjustment of administrative boundaries. The real motive of the government was, however, different. Bengal by that time had emerged as one of the major centers of Indian nationalism. By dividing Bengal and merging East Bengal with Assam, the British tried to curb the nationalist sentiments. The majority of population in East Bengal was that of Muslims. The British thus divided people on the basis of religion and tried to put the Muslims against the Hindus. So you can see the partition of Bengal on a map, and the partition of Bengal came into effect on 16th October 1905. The partition of Bengal was widely criticized by all sections of the people. The moderates as well as the extremists condemned the partition. Large-scale public demonstrations were held against the government. Protest meetings were held all over India. The people of India, they clearly saw the aim of the Britishers to break the unity of the Bengali people on communal lines and thus weaken the nationalist movement. So the division of Bengal provoked an agitation and angry reaction of West Bengal's people. It created widespread indignation all over the country. The day of partition was observed as a day of mourning. All business came to a standstill. On the suggestion of the great poet Rabindranath Tagore, the day was also observed as a day of unity and solidarity of the people. He introduced a program called Rakhi Bandhan, where people of all communities tied Rakhi on each other's hands to express their unity and solidarity. On the day of the partition, no food was cooked in the houses and no business was done in the markets. All the shops remained closed in protest. And during the movement, the song Vande Mataram became the national song of the Swadeshi movement. The partition of Bengal, it gave rise to an entirely new methods of opposing the government's policies. These new methods came to be known as the Swadeshi and the boycott movement. So there were large-scale demonstrations everywhere against the government. Large public meetings and demonstrations were organized and new methods of mass protests were developed. All sections of the people joined the Congress in the Swadeshi movement. The main aim of the Swadeshi and boycott movement was to oppose both the British rule and the British manufactured products. It sought to encourage the ideas of self-help, Swadeshi enterprise, national education and use of Indian languages. People began to boycott British goods and openly criticized people who used them. They took vows not to purchase anything made in England, be it clothes, salt or sugar. An appeal was made to the shopkeepers to stop selling British products and encourage the sale of Indian goods. The students supported the movement by boycotting their classes and holding demonstrations on streets. And under Bal Gangadhar Tilak's inspiring leadership, the movement gained momentum. Youth of Bengal marched protest against the partition. They burnt British goods at public places. The confectioners, they stopped using foreign sugar. Washermen stopped washing foreign clothes. Women stopped wearing foreign bangles. Doctors refused to patronize dealers of British goods. Picketing was combined with social ostracism. And here again, the textile workers, they did overtime to meet the demand of Swadeshi goods. People now felt proud in wearing handloom products. The leaders of the movement laid stress on the development of education and use of vernacular languages. They realized that the participation of masses was necessary for the attainment of Swaraj. A National Council of Education was set up to organize a system of education on national lines. And a very remarkable feature of the movement was the participation of women on a large scale. Women now began to take an active part in the national movement. And the Swadeshi movement also marked the beginning of organized movements in India. The ideals of self-reliance and self-help were encouraged. You can see here through these pictures how they promoted Swadeshi. Then the next topic is the formation of the Muslim League. The All India Muslim League was founded on 30th December 1906 at Dhaka by a group of Muslim landlords and Nawabs. Aga Khan, Nawab Mohsinul Mulk and the Nawab of Dhaka were the founder members of the Muslim League. Muslim League was formed to work for the interest of the Muslims. You can see the founding members of the All India Muslim League, the pictures here. Nawab Vikar ul Mulk, he chaired the meeting at Dhaka. Nawab Salimullah Khan proposed the formation of the All India Muslim League, and these are the pictures of other members of the Muslim League. The next topic is the impact of the First World War. The First World War broke out in 1914. India was dragged into the war and its soldiers and resources were badly exploited by the British. To meet the demands of the heavy expenditure of war, the government increased the income tax and tax on business. There was a sharp rise in the prices of commodities which caused panic among the common people. The demand for industrial goods like cloth, bag, rails, equipments for war increased, which resulted in heavy profits to the business enterprises. Also because of the war, business in European countries declined, which resulted in fall of imports from other countries to India. Thus, an expansion and development of Indian industries was witnessed during the First World War. Like we had studied in the previous chapter, where the Indian cotton textile mills and Tisco, it gained heavily during the First World War. They got a chance to expand and earn profits. The war also demanded the participation of more soldiers in it. The government forced the villages in India to send their soldiers in an alien nation for war. The soldiers who returned from the war had clearly understood the exploitation of the people of Asia and Africa by the British. They were now filled with nationalist spirits and were keen to participate in the national movement. The Russian Revolution of 1917 spread the ideas of socialism and further gave an impetus to the national movement in India. Here you can see the pictures of Indian soldiers during the First World War. Then the next topic is the advent of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi was born on 2nd October 1869 at Porbandar in Gujarat. His full name was Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. He studied law in England. Then he went to South Africa to practice law and stayed there for about 20 years. In South Africa, Gandhiji struggled for the Indians who were humiliated by the racist authorities. During his struggle, he gave birth to the concept of Satyagraha or non-violent struggle. Satyagraha was based on the principles of truth and non-violence. Gandhiji returned to India in 1915 at the age of 46. By now, he had earned great respect and popularity both at national and international levels. In his initial years, he travelled throughout the country to understand the people, their state of affairs and their needs. In 1916, he founded the Sabarmati Ashram in Gujarat and opened it for people of all castes because he did not believe in the practice of untouchability. He wanted to abolish this practice from the Indian society. He encouraged people to use Swadeshi goods and popularized the use of charkha and khadi. Gandhiji launched a movement at Champaran in Bihar in 1917 to improve the condition of workers in the indigo plantations. We have studied about this in the previous chapters. His second movement was at Ahmedabad in 1918. Here, he led the workers against the mill owners and forced the owners to raise the wages of the workers. He then struggled for the peasants at Kheda in Gujarat, where the crop had failed. He persuaded the government to suspend tax collection for that year, and all this was done through his principles of truth and non-violence. You can see the picture of Mahatma Gandhi here. And the next topic is the Rowlatt Act. The British government passed the Rowlatt Act in 1919. The act empowered the provincial governments to search any place and arrest any person whom it may suspect without a warrant. The act thus curbed the freedom of expression. The act was opposed by all sections of the society. And then Gandhiji launched the Rowlatt Satyagraha against the British government, although it was restricted mainly to the cities. The Hindus and Muslims put up a united front against the government. Satyagraha Sabhas were set up to launch the movement. So it became the first all India struggle against the British government. Many demonstrations and hartals took place in the country. The government used brutal measures to suppress the revolt. The Jallianwala Bagh massacre was one example of such brutal measures. And after the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, Rabindranath Tagore renounced his knighthood in protest of the Jallianwala Bagh incident. Now the next topic is the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. The protest against the Rowlatt Act was very severe in Punjab. On 10th April 1919, two Congress leaders, Dr. Satyapal and Dr. Saifuddin Kichlu, were arrested by the British government. A public meeting was held at Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar on 13th April 1919 to protest against these arrests. The Lieutenant General of Punjab, General Dyer, arrived with armed troops at this meeting and ordered his soldiers to open fire at the people without any warning. The firing that lasted for 10 minutes killed about 400 people and left thousands wounded. The massacre of innocent men, women and children was followed by the proclamation of martial law in Punjab. To show his protest against this firing, like I had told you earlier, Rabindranath Tagore, he surrendered his title of knighthood conferred on him by the British government, and later General Dyer was finally removed from his service. You can see the picture, how it must have happened. Innocent people gathered to listen to their leaders being fired upon. So now this is the Jallianwala Bagh Memorial as maintained by the Government of India. It's a beautiful place. If you get a chance, please go and visit it. It's in the memory of all those people who lost their lives and all those people who were wounded on 13th April 1919. Now the next topic is the Khilafat movement. Turkey was defeated in the First World War. After the war, the Sultan of Turkey was deprived of his political powers and authority. This agitated the Muslims of India, as the Sultan was regarded as the Khalifa or religious head of the Muslims of the entire world. The Indian Muslims wanted to pressurize the government of Britain to restore the powers to the Khalifa. Thus, the Khilafat movement was launched in 1920 by two brothers, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. They were supported by Maulana Azad, Hasrat Mohani and Hakim Ajmal Khan. The Indian National Congress too supported the Ali brothers. The Ali brothers now wanted to start a non-cooperation movement against the British under the leadership of Gandhi ji. So the Rowlatt Satyagraha had been a widespread movement where a Hartal and Satyagraha Sabha were organized. So Gandhiji decided to start a broad-based movement, but he knew that without the support of the Muslims it was not possible. So he decided to bring both Hindus and Muslims together and take up the Khilafat issue to unite the Muslims together. And to defend the Khalifa's temporal powers, Khilafat movement was started. Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali helped Gandhiji to unite the Muslims and Hindus together. Gandhiji used this opportunity to unite the Muslims under the umbrella of Unified National Movement. You can see the picture of Ali brothers, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. And the next topic is the non-cooperation movement. The non-cooperation movement was launched under the leadership of Gandhiji. Its main objectives were to support the Khilafat movement, to raise the voice against the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and to demand for Swaraj. The non-cooperation movement had two different aspects. The first one was the destructive and the second constructive. Under the destructive program, thousands of Indians gave up the titles and honors conferred to them by the British. Gandhiji gave up his title of Kaisar-e-Hind. Thousands of students refused to attend the government-controlled schools and colleges. People refrained from attending official and non-official functions. The lawyers boycotted the British courts. The candidates as well as the voters boycotted the elections to the Legislative Council. The movement was supported by men, women, children, students, and people from all walks of life joined the movement. Foreign cloth was burnt publicly. People refused to buy foreign cloth, due to which the demand for clothes from Britain fell drastically between 1920 to 22. And the constructive program of the non-cooperation movement included establishment of national schools and colleges, setting of arbitration boards that replaced the courts, promotion of Indian goods, popularization of charkha and khadi, promotion of Hindu-Muslim unity, and abolition of untouchability. The ideals of ahimsa or non-violence and the ability to rally hundreds of thousands of common citizens towards the cause of Indian independence were first seen on a large scale in this movement. So it was a huge success in its initial stage, and the movement got support from all classes of people: men, women, children, students, like I told you, lawyers like Motilal Nehru, C.R. Das, C. Rajgopalachari, and Asif Ali. They gave up their practice, and thousands of people willingly went to jail. Institutions like Jamia Millia Islamia and Kashi Vidyapeeth were established to provide education to students on national lines. See, you can see people joining the non-cooperation movement in large number. But on February 5th, 1922, a violent outburst took place at Chauri Chaura in the Gorakhpur district of the United Province of British India. So this place is in Uttar Pradesh. A large group of protesters participating in the non-cooperation movement clashed with police, who opened fire. These peasants were provoked because the police had fired on their peaceful demonstrations. And the demonstrators, they attacked and set fire to a police station in Chauri Chaura, killing all of its occupants. Around 22 or 23 policemen were killed on that day. And because of this, in February, Mahatma Gandhi decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement. He felt the movement was turning violent in many places and satyagrahis needed to be properly trained before they would be ready for the mass struggles. Within the Congress, some leaders were by now tired of mass struggles and wanted to participate in elections to the provincial councils that had been set up by the Government of India Act 1919. So leaders like Chittaranjan Das, Motilal Nehru, they argued that the party should fight elections to the councils and enter them in order to influence government policies. Through sincere social work in villages in the mid-1920s, the Gandhians were able to extend their support base. And this proved to be very useful in launching the civil disobedience movement in 1930. So with this we come to the end of today's video. Please read the chapter thoroughly. There are so many other things given in your book which you need to read, like the word meanings. And in the next video we will study about the Dandi March and other topics given in your book. Thank you, children.